between state, federal, and private contributions, and the project would only move forward when the funding was identified. The initiative also guaranteed that these trains would travel between San Francisco and Los Angeles / Anaheim in 2 hours and 40 minutes. According to the Reason Foundation, the route now could take as long as 4 hours and 10 minutes, and that the system would operate with any public subsidy at all. Currently, the project is advancing without any reasonable expectation that the bond funds will be available to the rail authority to spend. Most recently, Superior Court Judge Michael Kinney of Sacramento County recently took the rail authority to task for not having a viable financial plan. Incredibly, Judge Kinney's ruling was hailed in the media as a victory for high-speed rail, even though his ruling stated in part, quote, "The authority is not yet to produce the funding plan." Essentially, Judge Kinney's ruling allows the high-speed rail to continue because he can't judge whether or not the funding plan that doesn't exist complies with the Bond Act. However, when the authority finally attempts to utilize these funds approved in Proposition 1A, they will find themselves right back in court as the project will be out of compliance, because the fact of the matter is the project does not meet the benchmarks guaranteed in Proposition 1A. And that is why I've introduced AB 1866. This bill would give Californians the opportunity in November to redirect the high-speed rail bonds to water infrastructure. Last April, as you recall, Governor Brown called on us to reduce our urban water use by 25%. But when you look at the entire California portfolio of water, that only amounts to 2.5%. So that's not really sound public policy. What that is political optics. The fact of the matter is, if you believe in climate change, we're going to have less snow, not more. The need to capture, store, and convey water is more important than ever. And that's why I moved forward with this bill. AB 1866 will allow voters that are now armed with data. We talk in this building all the time about we need to be data-driven. They'll now be way more informed about the merits or cons of this project and have a chance to, if so choose, to take that $8 billion and spend it towards water infrastructure. With me today is David Wolf with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
Mr. Wolf, please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members, good afternoon. David Wolf with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association in support of the bill. Members, as I did about a half an hour ago, let's continue talking about what's wrong with high-speed rail. Here are some even more examples. We now have learned that the statutory requirement of an average 220 miles an hour per train can't be accomplished for two reasons: the amount of cities and grade separations in the path of the train, and the fact that no conventional non-maglev high-speed rail train can consistently maintain a speed of 220 miles an hour. Physically, members, it can't happen. So right there, we're already in massive disagreement with the statute, because it's impossible to get from San Francisco to Los Angeles in 2 hours and 40 minutes if you can't go 220 miles an hour. In addition, members, more things wrong. Public subsidies for operations can't be used. No general fund money can be used for operations. How is this feasible? Members, it's not feasible because there's no high-speed rail system in the world that can operate without public subsidy. Even the Amtrak Acela line, which connects 4 of the top 6 biggest business districts in the United States along the East Coast, can't operate without a subsidy. California only has 2 of the top 15 major metropolitan business areas, San Francisco and Los Angeles. Members, there's plenty of water projects that can be funded with this money that's going to go a lot farther to providing a needed resource for members of the California public in a way that high-speed rail just won't. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wolf. Is there any other members of the public that would like to testify in support of the author's bill? Seeing none, is there any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition of the author's bill? Please proceed to please state your name and who you represent, please.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keith Dunn with the Association for California High-Speed Trains. As the author pointed out, this is the 10th proposal. Not today, just feels like it, to redirect the high-speed rail funding. I'm going to be real brief and just say we agree water is a priority. Obviously, we need it. We support building reservoirs, groundwater, saving water in any way possible. It's a great necessity. That said, the people of California have supported on a statewide ballot high-speed rail. We are moving forward with the project as we've discussed earlier. The business plan was just recently presented to this committee where we had a robust discussion and oversight. Again, we appreciate all of the efforts from the author to discuss our great need to fund a viable water system. We're looking forward to working with him to build a viable water system, and we're looking forward to continuing to work and build high-speed rail. And we'd ask for a no vote. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Jeremy Smith here on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council. We want to build it all, whether it's water, whether it's roads, bridges, high-speed rail. We would like to have a discussion about how to fund all of our infrastructure needs in this state. The fact of the matter is you shouldn't rob Peter to pay Paul. You shouldn't take money away from one to pay for the other. The fact of the matter is there's going to be 50 million people in this state by 2050. The LAO itself has said to build the appropriate number of roads, bridges, airport runways, and airport gate capacity to accommodate that influx of people would be double what we're going to spend on high-speed rail. We need both. We shouldn't take money from one to build the other, whether it's water, whether it's roads, bridges, or anything. People are actually working on this project now. It's going a long way to alleviating poverty in the Central Valley. We've connected the valleys with a new plan, affordable housing, connected affordable housing with where the jobs are in the Silicon Valley. It's a good idea. We think we should move forward. We urge your no vote. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Kyle Jones with Sierra Club California, also in opposition. We oppose any diversion of funding towards new surface storage reservoirs as well as desalination plants for the environmental damage that those projects can cause, and we urge a no vote today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other members of the public that would like to testify in opposition to the bill? Seeing none. Any members of the committee would like questions of the author? I just have one. Mr. Wilk, when the water bond came up in our House, what was your vote?
Yes,
You voted yes?
of course.
Why didn't you fight for additional funds when it was chopped in half?
I think we all fought for additional funds. In fact, I didn't think we were going to get a water bond at all because the governor wasn't very enthusiastic about it. Although in private conversations he said he was going to move forward with additional funding in future years, but that hasn't yet happened.
So then we should have been a little more stringent, right, at that point. Thank you. Mr. Wilk, I'm not going to be supporting your bill today, as I haven't any of the others. Do we have a motion or a second?
No second. We have a motion.
We have a motion from Mr. Mathis. Any other? Mr. Linder is second. Thank you very much. We've heard similar proposals today, and I share your concerns about more funding needed for water. And I said I do understand, but we learned a lot at our recent hearing, and I absolutely suggest that you go tour the facility if you have that opportunity. I'm committed completely to more stringent oversight. We're doing bills to make sure that there's ex officios added to the authority, better reporting, and better adaptive management going forward. But it's not yet time to pull the plug on it. I firmly believe that. For these reasons, I'll be voting no on your bill, and I look forward to working with you on water for California.
Good.
Because I understand that even though the water bond bill was $10 or $11 billion, the critical need in California is about $75 to $90 billion. So even if we were able to accomplish it, we need to commit for the higher priority and go big or go home on that also. So, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Don't I get a chance to close?
I thought you closed.
No, I didn't close.
Okay.
Whether you support the
Keep it
high-speed
brief,
rail
please.
or not, the fact of the matter is the authority is out of compliance with Proposition 1A. That $8 billion will never be able to be spent. So why do we let it sit there when we can actually take it and redirect it to purposes that will improve the lives of all Californians? With that, I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you for your opinion. Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
The motion is due pass to the Assembly Water, Parks, and Wildlife Committee. Frazier.
No.
Frazier, no. Linder.
Aye.
Linder, aye. Baker. Baker, aye. Bloom. Brown. Brown, no. Chu. Chu, no. Daly. Daly, no. Dodd. Dodd, no. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, no. Gomez. Kim. Kim, aye. Mathis. Mathis, I. Medina. Medina, no. Melendez. Nazarian. O'Donnell.
No.
O'Donnell, no.
Your has 4 votes. We'll leave it open for the absent members.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Thank you, Mr. Wilk.